Thank you, Bill, and good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So I have, for 38 years ago, I had a calling while working my way through seminary and having babies to see theologically educated people in politics, which to me at the time was an oxymoron. And when I wrote my book, The 6 Pillars of Honest Politics, quite some years ago, I was in D.C., and someone looked at the book and said, 6 Pillars of Honest Politics looks like an oxymoron. But anyhow, that's my goal, and it's the goal rooted in not breaking apart this podium.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to fix this? Yeah, that's great. That's good. Very good. Thank you. High technology. Anyhow, so I am, as of this month, mounting a campaign to run for the U.S. Congress in the 5th District, Connecticut, with a brand new party called the Emancipation Party. And if you'd like to look at the information, go to johnrankin.us. And there's one very simple slogan: yes to honest politics. And then 3 questions. Is honesty in government possible? Is racial justice possible? Is fair media in the media possible? And my answers are yes, yes, and yes. So this is the theological and political work I've been doing for 38 years, both in terms of my seminary training, my postgraduate work at Harvard in ethics and public policy, and in my old age now doing a PhD in Oxford on Hebrew covenant and political liberty. And so you go to johnrankin.us, and there's 2 links there you may be interested in. First is a link to collect petitions to get on the ballot, 1,895. We will do that in the month of July. And secondly, a link to be a volunteer as well. You can see a number of videos I have there, and I'm offering to the 2 other candidates, the incumbent Democrat Johanna Hayes and the challenger attorney David Sullivan, 5 questions. And the questions start with, what is the science and politics of COVID-19? And the bottom line is, it is pure scientific witchcraft.
Yes.
There is no source to it whatsoever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And if you go to one of my websites called questionsforned.com, I'm having some fun with the governor. I'm asking him, are you competent enough to be making the laws you're making? And will he answer the questions? What is a virus? What is immunology? What is the science involved here? How unhealthy is social distancing? How unhealthy is wearing face masks?
Yes, yes,
You know
and yes.
that a healthy person wearing face masks, it makes them more unhealthy.
That's true.
And the WHO has ruled that, and they're going to pull back. Now, I'm the son of a physician. You go up the road here at Hartford Hospital. My father founded the Connecticut Blood Bank in 1950. He served as the chief of hematology there for 4 decades. He taught me well as a child. I've got good educational background in science as well. The theology and history is my focus. But the bottom line is that when you put a face mask on, you are hindering the oxygenation of your lungs.
Yes.
And the moment you do that, you hurt your heart, which needs the oxygen to feed every cell in your body.
That's true.
So the only time to ever wear a face mask is if you are in danger of something more dangerous. And so there are places for that. There are places for honest quarantining. But where in human history have we ever quarantined healthy people?
Never.
So we're dealing under the shadow of this building with petty totalitarian power.
Yes.
And so the question is, how do we address it? We don't address it by taking it down. We address it by living in the light. Yes to honest politics. So another link you will find on my website is prepartisan.org. I'm inviting every political leader in the nation to sign on. And those who don't sign on will declare themselves dishonest. It believes in things like honest politics, unalienable rights, living in the light, informed choice, the love of hard questions, the love of enemies, and the power to forgive. All theological language taken into the political equation, and basically what it means is transparency to the consent of the governed on the one hand versus hiddenness on the other hand. How much laws in this building, the federal Congress, are done in secret behind closed doors?
That's right.
So my book in 2006, and tweaked many times in the meantime, The 6 Pillars of Honest Politics, I have rewritten the entire federal Constitution and laws, the entire Connecticut Constitution and laws, reduced Connecticut from 17,000 pages down to 36, the federal corpus in 2006 from 47,000 down to 25 pages. It was easy. I took out all the junk and all the hiddenness and all the lies. And I've added about 30 elements of transparency, where everything in government should be done with the cameras on. Once that happens, we become a free people.
That's right.
So again, all this information is at johnrankin.us, and I just gave you a very brief background to several elements. Let's see if there's something else. So I wanted to mention 1, 2, and 3. I did it so quickly, I can't believe it.
Good job.
So I will take a minute and give you a theological foundation for honest politics. We have one of two choices in human history: freedom, that's Hebrew covenant, or totalitarian power, that is the Babylonian Genesis. Now, and this is my PhD work, the very language in Genesis 2 and the very language of covenant in all of the Bible is promises made and promises kept among equals. And Yahweh Elohim, even though he's our creator, treats us as equals, as image bearers of God, and how he treats us. Namely, we are made free. So in Genesis chapter 2, we've got three choices: good versus evil, freedom versus slavery, or life versus death. The good is the freedom to choose life, and evil is the slavery of imposed death. And those choices are given to Adam. Now here's the radical nature of what I call the level playing field that starts in Genesis. The ancient serpent, Satan incarnate, is invited to come and be there. Now think about that for a second. Only light can allow darkness to come in its midst. Darkness eviscerates by the presence of light and will never allow light to come into its midst. So the whole campaign is going out of my way, as I have for decades, to listen to those who are most well-equipped to give me the toughest questions. So when I hosted the president of the National Organization for Women at Smith College, outnumbered 500 to 50, and I got almost a standing ovation at the end. Why? Because the women realized there that it's men who get women pregnant and take off and despise them. That's where I got interrupted by 17 seconds of applause. That's not supposed to happen to a white evangelical pro-life minister at Smith College. But I'm not aiming for politics. I don't look at anyone through a prism of their political identity. I look at people only through the prism of their humanity. And the bottom line is, throughout all of human history, maybe 2% wants to rule over everybody else. And so Hebrew covenant, that goes all the way forward through this Jewish scholar with whom I'm working, to the present, is the basis for and checks and balances on power. So we have freedom that is given. And the freedom takes the radical nature of being put on a level playing field. God gives us true definition of terms, and therefore we're free to choose. The devil gives false definition of terms. So if we want an honest, interpretive measure to look at politics, are we getting the skinny or are we getting a lie? Are people accountable to the toughest questions they're being asked? And most politicians, they do an exit stage left, for those of you who know Snagglepuss from the 1960s. They don't want to be asked the tough questions. My whole life is, please, give me your toughest questions. I hosted the president of the National Abortion Rights Action League at Georgetown on C-SPAN. Phenomenal response. I hosted Dr. Jeremiah Wright, pastor, Barack Obama's former pastor, down here in Connecticut. Huge turnout for that. So I've hosted the greatest skeptics I can find, and I seek to do that presently. So that's the Hebrew covenant. What is the Babylonian Genesis? The mother of all pagan religions, the mother of all totalitarian power. And that is totalitarianism. The gods and goddesses are made, they're not made, we don't know where they came from. They exist in a universe that we don't know where it comes from. They beat up on each other, they beat up on us, and they make us into slaves. In fact, man and woman are made to be slaves to a defeated pantheon of gods who already are slaves. Therefore, the height of human nature's understanding in pagan religion is we are slaves to slaves, no matter who we are. What is the image of God in Genesis? We are the very crown of God's creation, the celebratory song of Psalm 8. Back to Genesis 1, made in the very image of God, to govern the good creation with freedom. Now, what is freedom? Very simply, freedom is the power to do the good. When we do the good, we continue to be a free people. If we do evil, we become slaves. God is no slave, like the pagan deities. He makes us free, but he doesn't force his freedom on us, otherwise we would be slaves. Exactly. Therefore, he takes the risk of letting us say no, and he sends the Messiah to rescue us when we make the wrong choice. So how do we participate today in American politics? Yes to honest politics. Is honesty in government possible? My book lays it out in detail. Is racial justice possible? And you know, I have questions for Ned.com, and Getch, you inspired me to do a new website. Questions for Johanna.com. Johanna Hayes. A black woman running as an incumbent, and she is the daughter of slavery. I am a white man, not that. I'm a white man, the son of abolitionists, and I want to tell you about a couple of them, okay? The first one is Reverend John Thomas Rankin, known as the manager of the Underground Railroad. His book in 1836, Letters on American Slavery, gave the intellectual firepower for William Lloyd Garrison in Boston to prosecute the abolition of slavery. And that's one ancestor. And it's written in a beautiful book called Beyond the River by Anne Hagedorn. Another one of my ancestral cousins is Reverend Jeremiah Rankin. If you've ever sung the song, God Be With You Till We Meet Again, that's his song. He's the founder of Howard University, the first university for black Americans right after the Civil War. And he's another one of my ancestral cousins. So, did I choose that lineage? No, I didn't. But it rises up and greets me. What do? I embrace it with every fiber of my being. So I would, and all the questions I ask are respectful, thoughtful, open-ended questions. I don't care a whit about winning a debate. What I care about is an honest conversation where truth and mercy can rise to the top. Because truth and mercy are far larger than I, okay? So the question is, are we in service of that pursuit? So the final thought here is, now that I'm thinking out loud about questions for Johanna.com, no, .org, I'll do it, is I will compose questions and say, Johanna, as a daughter of slavery, I have nothing but utmost regard for the painful history of your people. In fact, in high school, when I had to do a research paper on some genre of music, I chose the African, or the Negro spiritual, simply because I was drawn to it. It's in there I found out about the Reverend John Thomas Rankin. So I asked my dad, are we related? He said yes, and he showed us how, okay? We go back to the same forefather. And so, you are a daughter of slavery. I cannot understand that. But I am a son of abolition. Let's have a real, eyeball-to-eyeball, human conversation on justice for those who suffered slavery. That's what I'm aiming for. Yes. So, the final comment here is, if any of you are in the 5th District and want to sign a petition, I'm getting the process going this week. Let me know. I have receipts, or I have a petition with me. But also, all of you, please go to johnrankin.us and, and join the mailing list and help me make trouble, because the truth is, I'm a troublemaker. And there's one of two choices to be a troublemaker. Number one is, if Ahab calls you a troublemaker, blessed are you indeed, because he didn't like Elijah.
That's right.
If Elijah calls you a troublemaker, you better get on your knees, because he called Ahab the troublemaker. Thank you, and God bless.